Hello there, I am on location again today painting in the great outdoors, and we are at one of my very favorite places in the world, Malibu, California. So we're going to kind of paint this view behind me here once I get set up. So let's do this. All right, while we're at it, we're just going to give you a nice, lovely panorama of this area because, I mean, come on, how gorgeous is that for real? Alright, so I've got my little Etchr Slate Mini here, and I've got my paint set up. This is the Van Gogh watercolor, and I'm going to draw this first. I usually don't show you that part, but I'm going to go ahead and do that because since this is a pretty simple drawing, however you want to say that. Alright, so we're just going to start on this landmass here. We're going to just bring it on out almost to the middle of the page. And then we're going to curve it right on back around here. A little bit further. Kind of down this direction. And then we have all these trees and kind of vegetation here that are covering up the old PCH there. We're kind of up on the side of the hill right here. A very nice little outlook area. Don't want to get too horribly like bogged down in the details here on all these little trees and things like that. So we're just gonna bring that down here. We have a line of trees here, a little bit of a palm tree here. And don't want to get too crazy on all this detail here. Okay. Then we need to bring the ocean line right here. And right now, there's not much cloud cover right over there. It's just going to be just a plain old, probably cerulean blue sky. The whole time I've been here, it's been very cloudy, which is kind of out of the ordinary for Malibu, really. I used to come here every summer for a while because I have a friend that lives here. And it's usually not super cloudy, but the last couple days it has been extremely overcast. But today we have a little bit of sun peeking through, so I thought it would be a great day to sit out here and paint. And then you've got this is kind of the beach area here, and then you've got a lot of like buildings and houses and things like that, and I'm kind of gonna just suggest all of that. I don't really want to go into just a ton of detail, so I'll probably actually just bring that back in with maybe a Posca pen or something at the end. And I have a bunch of leftover paint here. We figure that probably we will be able to utilize some of that rather than waste it. I'm actually just going to go ahead and use the blue that's in there for the sky. I think might add a little bit more ultramarine to it though. Well, I said a little bit, but that's a lot of bit. I think we need some more cerulean to balance that out. I'm not used to this Van Gogh paint all that much. Haven't painted with it a ton. I apologize for some road noise. We are right above the PCH, and there are lots of motorcycles that feel like they need to drive through here really, really, really loudly. So that is just the way it rolls. I think I'm going to go ahead and just wet the entire sky area first, just for fun. So I'm going to take that color and I'm just going to run it along here. It's not very dark today. Make it fade towards the horizon line. Yep. Right, while that's drying, I'm going to go ahead and mix up some more color here. So I'm going to take the ultramarine and then I'm going to add in some cadmium. Oh, that's not cadmium, it's Azo Yellow. Now, I think that's dried out a little bit to where I can go ahead and come in with the ocean color. Maybe not. That was a little too quickly. It looks dry. It wasn't dry. Okay. We've got some blooms going on here, as I tend to always get out and about, because it dries at such a weird pace. And if you start getting those blooms, sometimes you can correct that by just going over it again and wetting it. And we've got some kind of wave action coming in here with a little bit darker type things. And just bring it on down shortly, but I'm going to go ahead and come in and mix up some greens as well, just so that we can have a chance to let this part dry. So I'm going to go with the Sap Green, put it here, water that down, or tone it down with some burnt umber so that it's not like neon green. It's not very natural if you just leave Sap Green the color that it normally is. So we want to make some nice dark green, more of a bluish green. I'm going to start with hookers over here, make it really dark. Do the same thing to it by adding in hookers green. Or I mean, by adding in burnt umber. So then we have a nice, more bluish tinged green to add in for some kind of like shadow colors on some green things here. Burnt umber. Kind of add in more Payne's gray. Try to keep that green out of it. Might even add in just a tiny little bit of Quinacridone Rose, because it's got just a little bit of a purple tint to it. Okay, and then I'm going to take that and come in here on the land. And then you do have kind of some warmer areas, and I'll get to that in a second. I'm going to bring in some yellow ochre for that. I'm going to use some of that yellow ochre to kind of make the beach color. Now I'm going to drop in some little, I'm going to get a different brush. That was a kind of a 1/2 inch maybe flat. I'm going to bring in a number 8 round, I think, and drop in some other colors. I'm going to get some just plain Payne's gray. It looks like I need to re-wet the paint. Right. Get some differentiation in color going on here. Try not to make that Payne's gray too dark. because it can go in pretty strong if you're just grabbing it. Like that, for instance. And if that happens, just kind of grab your brush and move it around. I think I want to drop in some more burnt umber in some areas as well. Now I think I'm going to start on some of this green, because you can kind of see some green coming in right around here. Once you start getting closer, you can kind of see the green. Probably should drop some green up here too as well, to give it a little more color. Alright, now it looks like you've got some kind of more brownish green colors in here as well. And like this is a more brownish tree right here that comes up over the top. Now, I'm going to bring in this color here. Now, like I said before, I'm not going to get too crazy on all the detail over here either, because I just don't feel like it has to have that focus right here. I'm going to have a little bit more of this. We've got a little browner of a tree over here as well. Alright, now I kind of need to let that dry a little bit. Either that, or I can start working on the waves in the ocean. I think I can go ahead and do that. So we used some ultramarine and a touch of this Azo Yellow, I think. And we can bring it back in a little bit darker up here. Apparently I cannot paint a straight line, but that's no secret. I've not been able to paint a straight line for a long time. Alright, so we're just going to bring in some of these kind of wavy type deals. Alright. I'm going to start bringing in some of these darker colors down here to do more detail in the greens. That might need to be toned down a little more. Might add some of this Madder Lake into it to tone it down, because it's still looking real green, like bright green. That, I think, just went to brown. Yep. Shoot. Okay, we'll add a little bit more green in it. If you find yourself doing that, you've turned something to brown, just add back in the opposite color, the complementary. Because I just added in too much red. Okay. Let's add in some shadows down here. Now I think I'm going to make this a little bit more impressionistic than I normally would, just because I kind of feel like I want to. get some more of this brown. Add a little Payne's gray to it. And then we'll use that for the brown shadows on the trees. Like this little guy here. And this little guy here. And you've got some more brown ones over here. Okay, now I might need some more of that for the distance. We're going to come back in with a little more detail on the distance now that it's kind of dry. I'm trying to dry brush this, but I keep getting it too wet. I'm just getting a very dry mixture on my brush and scraping it along the texture of the paper. Now I'm going to bring back in some more Payne's gray to this green right here, and I'm going to bring in more shadows right down here. I mean, that's all still wet, but that should be totally fine because it has more pigment. This we have a little tree trunk coming up in here. I'm going to use a little bit of yellow ochre on that because it's kind of a little bit opaque. Let's go even darker with that shadow right here. Now I need some darker shadow. And then we'll bring that with their tree trunks in here too. We'll just do that with the brown. Let's bring a little bit of this darker color up in here. While I'm at this, I want to bring in just a little bit darker of a line right here on some of these waves that are breaking. Now, I'm going to get me a number 4 and try to be a little more delicate with the rest of this stuff. Let's just take a little bit of that darker and bring it into right along the edge of the sand. I think I want to put a little bit of green here and there along here as well to tie that into the foreground. Now I think what I want to do is let that dry just a little bit, and I think I want to come back in with a Posca pen in a minute to add in some detail of the houses and things like that. If my Posca's not dried up, and it kind of looks like it is. Yep, okay. I do, in fact, have this little guy instead. This is a brush pen in white. So maybe that can help me out. Unless it's also dried out, in which case we won't have any highlights here. Alright. Alright, no, yeah, that'll work. Okay. So let's bring on in some wave action. While I'm letting that dry a little bit, I want to bring in some of these kind of house structures. And I'm just going to suggest stuff. I certainly don't want to like go crazy with adding in a bunch of houses and structures. That will just about do it, I think. I don't want to go overboard on all this stuff. Alright, now I've switched my light around to where you can see without my shadow blocking it. So there is the finished product. Well, now my shadow's in the way. But anyway, and there you have it. A little bit of a lovely beach landscape in Malibu, California.